Resist is the new ability added to Lorcana with Rise of the Floodborn. How exactly can it be used to its fullest potential, though? After watching this video, you will know the 5 best ways to effectively use Resist when putting it in your deck. Welcome, Rebels, and we're going to jump right in with number 1. Now, this is to give Resist to characters as a passive. Now, characters can gain Resist passively through a couple cards, mainly, or not mainly, but that's mainly what you'll see from the Sapphire cards that contain Resist. So I'm just going to start with a couple of the cards here. We have 4 Dozen Eggs, which is a 4 inkable action song from Sapphire. And we have Industrial Model Magic Broom, 3 cost inkable. And then we have a 2 cost inkable Noi Orphaned Thief. Now, starting with 4 Dozen Eggs, it is a song where if you sing it or play it, your characters gain Resist +2 until the start of your next turn. Damage dealt to them is reduced by 2. Now, for 4 Dozen Eggs, once you play it, they'll have the Resist, and they'll passively have it until the start of your next turn. Very similar with the Magic Broom here, which is when you play this character, a chosen character, so one character that you choose, will gain Resist +1 until the start of your next turn. And then for Naui, whereas these 2 cards are just temporarily based when it comes to resisting, Naui will have it be permanent, but it is conditional. This is while you have an item in play, this character gains Resist +1 and Ward. So damage dealt to this character is reduced by 1, and they can't choose this character except in a challenge. So it kind of forces people to target her with challenges and reducing damage, and she'll deal not a lot of damage, but some damage back, allowing her to more safely quest for her 2 lore. Especially for a 2-cost character. Now, there is an item here, which could kind of combo with Naui, which is from Steel, which is Mouse Armor. Now, for Mouse Armor, when you exert it, chosen character will gain Resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Which means you could choose your Magic Broom here with this item, and then the Magic Broom would also be able to get Resist +1 from that. Now, we have these cards, but definitely the most powerful one, I think, that passively gives it. Let's move these up here. Make Cogsworth front and center. Grandfather Clock Cogsworth. Now, this is a Floodborn, 5 cost inkable. Chipped 3, and for his ability Unwind, your other characters gain Resist +1. Which means, you know, if these 2 characters were in play, they would each get Resist +1 just from Cogsworth being on the field. He also has the ability Ward. This means, essentially, you can leave him unexerted after you play him, and it'll just keep that Resist up for as long as he remains there. And he's safe from being challenged because you're not exerting him for anything, and he can't be targeted by things like Fire the Cannons, or the Elsa card that allows you to choose a card and exert it. He can't be chosen by that. Now, only a few cards can deal with him, all of them being in Exteel, except for Ruby's Be Prepared. For Cogsworth, since he is a Floodborn, there is one in the same color that is cost 2, so next turn 3, you can shift him right on like that. Well, we got Be Prepared here, which would work on Cogsworth, which, I mean, it works on all characters, they all get wiped out. But maybe just for damaging purposes, you have characters like Chief Bogo here, where he deals 1 damage to each opposing character, so since you're not specifically choosing this Cogsworth, he would take that 1 damage while unexerted and just sitting there. 2 cards that are good at effectively dealing with the Cogsworth, but essentially very strong. Now, for number 2, to kind of build upon this, we have that Resist can stack. So when using items or actions that can grant Resist from multiple sources, they end up stacking. So, for instance, we have the item Mouse Armor, and we have Noi. Just by the item being in play, this gives her Resist +1. But if you were to exert this item, all of a sudden, she would have Resist +1 twice, and so 1 + 1 is 2. So she would actually be resisting 2 damage. Now, for some other characters that have Resist, we have Cinderella, the Prince, and Tiana. Now, for Cinderella and Tiana, they both have resist +2. So if you play 4 dozen eggs, you use your mouse armor, and you play the magic broom at the same time, you could give, each of these characters additional +2. You could give +1 from your broom, +1 from your mouse armor to Tiana, and they both suddenly resist 5 damage. It all adds up together, which can lead to some very strong characters that essentially won't be touched. Now, this is also useful for the Prince, who normally has resist +1, but also is a bodyguard. Now, bodyguards are very useful in Lorcana because they essentially keep opponents from challenging characters that you want to keep safe. So if he's in Exerted, with the resist +1, his health is essentially 4, but somebody might be able to bypass that. If you have Cogsworth out, and you use your mouse armor, all of a sudden his resist is +3, he's a much more effective bodyguard. So stacking is very, very strong, especially if you have multiple Cogsworth out. You can have up to 4 in a deck, and if you're able to get all 4 of them out, not only are you giving resist 4 to all characters on the field, but they're also giving each other resist, which just makes them even stronger and harder to be defeated. Just the fact that they can stack is very strong, and something I thought was not possible at first when we were first getting these cards and playing them. Now for point number 3, I want to talk about proper use of challenging with resist. So I'm going to show these all at the end, but I'm going to stack them up a little bit for right now in order for us to get a better idea of how things are going here. So let's say these are our cards in play, plus let's throw in a Hercules there, who can also be shifted onto. This Hercules has resist +2. And then let's throw a Kronk in here as well. Both people with high strength and resist. Now let's get some challengers up here. We have Felicia, we have Bucky, we have Mulan, we have Captain Huck, and we have Pain. Now when it comes to you wanting to challenge, let's also get some other cards that don't have resist out on the field to help explain this part as well a little bit more effectively. Let's say we got the Knock here, and you want him to attack your Pain, but the Knock, while having high strength, does not have that much health. So if I use my mouse armor to give the Knock a resist 1, the Knock could, for instance, then challenge Pain, dealing the 4 damage, but not have to risk losing health. The same goes for Lawrence here, and especially useful for Lawrence, since when he has no damage, he gets +4 strength. So if normally you were to attack Pain there with Lawrence, he'd deal the 4 damage, but then take 1, he suddenly loses all of his strength for being able to hit back. With the mouse armor to grant resist, or let's say a Cogsworth, you're able to take out that Pain and not have to worry about losing that strength for in case somebody else decides to attack again in the future. Now this is very useful for, like I said, high cost characters or high strength characters with low willpower, especially this Hercules. He gets resist +2 is a shift 4, 6 strength, that's quite high, especially for a character that you can get out at turn 4. But 3 health, he wants to take out that Felicia, or let's say take out that Mulan. He could take out the Mulan, but then would die himself. Same thing with the Felicia. With his resist +2, and then let's say we stack on the mouse armor to give him resist 3, he can take out the Felicia without taking any damage, or take out the Mulan and take only 1 damage. So thinking of resist when challenging is very important, especially if you have high strength characters with low willpower. Now let's get to point number 4, which is very similar to point number 3, but in the opposite direction. Proper use when being defensive. Now, last character here, we have this Cinderella. Let's put her on there to shift. And then, let's say that you want to use this Kronk just to score points, you don't even care about his ability there. And we'll stick with the Lawrence card there. You know, with Lawrence, once again, just like how it worked with challenging, say that you want to be scoring that 2 lore, by using resist on him, you can pretty much keep yourself safe from a Pain, or from a Bucky, where they won't want to challenge you with those characters because you'll resist the damage, and they could potentially die from the 4 damage that you deal back. Very similar with the Cinderella here. Though she does hit hard, you know, 5 and 5, with her ability here, where whenever you play a song, you can challenge ready characters, which is very strong, but also being able to gain 3 lore, if that's just kind of what you're going for, being able to put resist on her, you know, get a Cogsworth out there or 4 dozen eggs, you can quest for those 3 lore, and with the 2 plus 1 plus, let's say, 4 dozen eggs, that gets you 5 resist. You can pretty much resist anything on the field, even this Captain Hook, who gets Challenger. So resist can be very good against challengers where, alright, I can't, you know, take them out because they were just played, and, you know, let's say that this Cinderella has 2 damage on her already from something. Well, I guess that's a bad example because she has resist naturally. But let's say, you know, it was the Simba card there. In fact, I have it right here. Let's say it's the Simba card, where he's Challenger plus 4, which means he has a total of 8 damage that he could deal. Normally, if this card were to be played, and you had your Cinderella exerted, you could be afraid that, oh, that Simba can just easily take out the Cinderella card next turn, you know, play Mouse Armor, play 4 dozen eggs, that gives her resist 5, which won't negate completely all the damage that Simba would do, but makes it go from dealing 8 damage to 3, which can be quite effective in keeping her alive. So thinking of using resist when being defensive, when you want to score lore, is very important. Now, for the 5th and final point that kind of ties everything together, it's you need to know when to use resist reactively. So, the really good cards that kind of show this are 4 dozen eggs and the Magic Broom. Now, of course, being reactive also can be working with the Mouse Armor here. Essentially, when I say reactive, it's being able to apply instances of resist when you need them most, which includes when proper use of challenging, which includes proper use of being defensive and wanting to score lore. If you see your opponent play a Simba, being able to reactively play this 4 dozen eggs and give your Cinderella, or actually all your cards, resist plus 2, and then knowing that, man, you really don't want that Lawrence to lose his 4 strength, I'm also going to play a Magic Broom to give him another resist plus 1, use this item to give him resist plus 1. Just being able to reactively give it to different characters, move it around, and not just deal with characters that just naturally have resist is very important strategically when playing games like this. You know, if somebody just has these characters down, like that, on the opposing side, you know that 4 dozen eggs could come in useful because it can completely negate the pain, and the Bucky, since they only deal 1 damage, these characters already naturally resist it though. So the smart idea to do reactively would be to keep these cards in your hand for later use, and to just use the Mouse Armor to give the Lawrence a resist 1. That way, it takes care of the problem of these 2 characters damaging him for any reason at all, and you're not wasting these cards. So, these are currently all the cards currently in the game that have resist or grant resist in some sort of way. Now, since this ability just was released with Rise of the Floodborn, there aren't any from Chapter 1, and as you can see, they're all relegated to either Steel or Sapphire, but in the case of Sapphire, it's more so just kind of either giving it out or only temporarily having it when certain conditions are met. So, with that, you should know everything there is to know about resist in Disney's Lorcana. If you're interested in more videos, check out the playlist or video here, and until next time, quest on!